Welcome back to the Music Elegancy by LNC podcast. I know that's not technically what it's called, but you see, Connor's raging at me. I haven't done the intro in months. It feels like I've lost my game. I've lost my touch with these intros, but it's fine. We're back, and we're gonna be covering some new albums. They're not really even that new of albums. We just haven't done an episode like this in so long that we've accumulated five albums that we think are worth talking about that came out within the first 3 months of 2023. So it's our new releases type episode that we haven't done in a while. The five albums we'll be talking about today are The Estate Sale, which is the deluxe of Call Me If You Get Lost by Tyler, the Creator, Scaring the Hose by jpegmafia and Danny Brown, 10,000 Gecs by 100 Gecs, Ugly by slowthai, and the new Lana Del Rey album, which, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to pull up the whole title. It's like a whole paragraph, I swear to God. Lana Del. Do you know what it's called?
No, something to do with tunnels.
Oh yeah. Did you know there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard? See, now I'll remember it forever because I had to like embarrass myself, you know. Now I have like a core
Yeah.
memory attached to the title. So I guess we'll just hop right into it and start talking about The Estate Sale by Tyler, the Creator. It's not really an album, but like it feels too long to be a deluxe. It feels too short to be an album. It's just kind of
Yeah.
its own little thing, you know? Like it's just like it's like I don't even know how to put it. It's like they drop. It's like you have the first movie, right, and then they drop like a short film in between just to hold over the fans or something. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's not like an extended cut. It's just like a complete whole new experience. But it also feels like it's within the same universe of Call Me If You Get Lost.
Yeah, it feels just like a little EP that's in the same universe.
Yeah, EP. That's what it feels like. Uh, it's like 8 tracks long. I thought, well, one of the tracks is like an intro track, so it's more like 7 songs long, but 8 tracks long. You know,
Yeah.
it has like the cover of the alternate cover of "Call Me If You Get Lost," which was kind of a lame to me. Honestly, I was hoping for like a,
Yeah,
a
me
third
too.
cover variant, because like old Tyler the Creator albums like Wolf have like 5 variants. Cherry Bomb has like 3 variants. I wanted a third variant of Call Me If You Get Lost. Well, technically, now that I think about it, there's like 5 variants of Call Me If You Get Lost. Maybe not five, but like there's actually quite a bit because like on every streaming platform, the ID is a different color.
Oh, yeah. That
So
doesn't count, though.
I know, but like it kind of counts. Like if you
Yeah,
want to get
technically.
technical,
Yeah. The Estate
but yeah,
Sale is
it's
probably my favorite on this list for the whole year
really
so far. I think so,
that's
yeah.
crazy. I would say it's like I mean, we'll get into it later, but it's definitely not my favorite. It's good, but like, it didn't blow me away, I guess. I don't know. I'll
Really?
let you talk about it since you're a big fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every song I like except for Boyfriend, Girlfriend. If that song was taken off, then it would be like every single song is just super good all in a row.
No
So,
skips, all hits.
yeah, literally no skips except for Boyfriend, Girlfriend, like occasional skip. Because I'll be driving and I know I won't have enough time to get to Sorry Not Sorry, so I skip that one.
Dang.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I just,
How
I like all the songs.
yeah. What's your favorite one?
See, right now Dogtooth is really stuck in my head, but I think, what is it? What a Day, Heaven to Me, and maybe Sorry Not Sorry. Like, those are all contenders for the best song. And also Wharf Talk with ASAP Rocky. It's so hard to like
Thanks.
pin down a favorite because I just look at all of them and they're all super good. Which one's your favorite though?
I would say my favorite has to be Sorry Not Sorry, but I guess we'll just kind of like go through the track list first. The first track was we said like an intro track, and then the second track is Stuntman with Vince Staples, which is like it's crazy that they haven't collabed at this point because
Yeah, that blew my mind.
they've been on tour together twice, and they've never made a collab song, not a single one, I'm pretty sure. But this finally ends the drought for Vince Staples and Tyler the Creator fanatics, and they finally have a song together. And the beat, it sounds like a remastered, modernized version of like Cherry Bomb, just very chaotic, just a lot of stuff going on, kind of Pharrell esque. It's just like a bunch of just different like pieces that shouldn't be going together, and it sounds pretty radical in my opinion. And Vince Staples, he does his job, and it's an adequate combination. It's nothing too mind blowing, but it's still a good track.
Yeah, I thought it sounded like the song "Fun" off in Staples' EP or album
Yeah, I
called
see that.
what was it? Was
FM.
that just called FM? It sounds like that song "Fun," but if it was made on Cherry Bomb, it's like the combination.
Yeah, that's a perfect explanation. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tyler the Creator kind of sneak disses Kanye West on the song, which we'll find out later is pretty ironic. But
Yeah,
it's just kind of a, you can't confirm that it's a diss, but it's pretty, you're pretty sure it's a diss because he like brings up meds and then brings up like being, he said, because Kanye always says he's like a free thinker, and I think Tyler says like, how are you gonna call yourself a free thinker when you're following the Bible or something like that? I don't know, I don't
yeah. When you're
remember the
preaching the
exact
Bible.
bar. Yeah, so he's kind of throwing maybe a shot at Kanye, but like I said, a couple tracks from now, you're gonna see why that's kind of weird. The second track or third track on this is "What a Day," which is produced by Madlib, which is awesome. But it's also, I guess, what makes this not feel like a Tyler album is because there is different producers compared to
Yeah,
all
I
of his
could
other
see that.
albums is completely self-produced. Maybe it'll have some like helping hands from like Pharrell or someone, but I'm pretty sure every single song in Tyler's discography outside of like one off of Goblin is produced by Tyler. So like having two songs on here not produced by Tyler and it's only like 7 tracks long definitely feels kind of weird. So I guess that's why it's more of a deluxe rather than an actual release.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense
yeah,
to be honest.
Madlib and Tyler the Creator, that's like a dream combination for me. Like two of my favorite artists in hip hop today. Madlib, one of the best producers of all time, and Tyler the Creator does this beautiful beat some justice, in my opinion.
Yeah, me too. I think or no, that's not one of the ones. He did a music video too, is it?
I have
Or
no
no,
idea.
I
He
think
kept
he did.
dropping them at he just kept dropping them that I kind of stopped paying track or paying
Yeah, he's
attention.
dropped a bunch so far. Like more
Paying
than half
track.
the songs, I think.
Yep. Then a song that he did drop a music video for sure, I know, is Wharf Talk with
Yeah.
ASAP Rocky. This is a pretty fruity banger, in my opinion. Whereas I feel like Stuntman is just a banger. What a Day is kind of a chill banger. This is a fruity banger. You got Tyler's classic pitched up voice singing. It's very pitched up. Probably the most pitched up he's ever been. Maybe he got as pitched up on Igor, but I don't know. It just felt like it was almost like kind of off putting for a bit, but I got used to it. It's a good little banger. I don't know. I'm calling it a banger. It's a chill song. It's like it's like I said. It's like his fruity side. It feels more like it belongs on, I guess, like Flower Boy and ASAP Rocky. Uh, he's on the song. I guess like he doesn't really do anything crazy. He just kind of just spits a verse, leaves.
Yeah.
It's not like Who Dat Boy where it's like this awesome like collaboration between the two. I don't know. I just have a soft spot for that song. I like the music video for that song a lot too. The music video for this song, it's cool, kind of boring. ASAP Rocky looking sexy. That's really all I can say about it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
it's
didn't
a
like
good
this one
track.
as it is a good track. I didn't like it as much on the first listen, like you said. Like it took a few listens to grow on me. But I also wish ASAP Rocky, like you said, it was more of like a grand moment, like Who That Boy. That's probably
Yeah,
why I think this didn't make the whole album because it sounds kind of like disconnected. Like even in the music video, like they just cut to a whole different set with ASAP Rocky. Like I don't think they were actually together in real life or anything.
yeah,
It
for sure.
just didn't
Especially
sound
with like
like Who Dat Boy. It sounded like they were in the studio together, like making that song. Whereas this one, they probably just sent verses over, you know.
yeah, I see that. What I was gonna say when I was trying to interrupt you, like a just an unethical podcast person. Uh, I feel like with "Call Me If You Get Lost," like the actual album, there's so much chemistry, so much parody, I guess, throughout the album. Like every feature seems perfectly put. Seems
Yeah,
like it was supposed to be there, even with the weird features like NBA YoungBoy and 42 Dugg. You would never expect those to work on a Tyler the Creator album, especially with like Tyler the Creator type production. But it works perfectly. Whereas ASAP Rocky's feature, just like you said, kind of just feels like a fan remix or something like that. Just like they found
yeah.
like a verse that was conveniently at the same BPM as Worf Talk's beat and just put it over.
You know, it'd be cool to make like 15 songs like from the whole album and just make like all the best. Like try to put it into an actual track list cuz I think there's enough good songs on here that would actually be a 10 out of 10 album. And usually it's hard for me
Really?
to say that cuz I like 10 song albums. Like 15 is too long, but there's so much like on the whole album in general, including the deluxe. It equals
Yeah.
24 songs, so
You're
you
saying if
cut.
they just cut some of the filler, it would be a
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
It's
But
interesting to me.
next up we got Dogtooth, which is what the heck? The bunny's going crazy, bro. Um Hold up. Yeah. Next up we got Dogtooth. And this is actually the first song to drop from this deluxe as just a single and a music video. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so stuck in my head right now because I've been listening to it a lot. But yeah, this is one of my favorites right now. I think it'll grow off me a little bit once I've stopped listening to it on repeat, you know.
Yeah. Dogtooth, I hate to say it, it's not my favorite. I still think it's a good
Really?
song, but like I think I prefer a majority of the track list over Dogtooth, but it's still, it's just a fun song. It's a good song. It just reeks, I guess, of that those in between year singles that Tyler would release between his
Yeah,
albums. It's
it
just feels
does.
exactly because it is one of those, I guess, but like it just feels exactly like that, where it's not like a bad song per se, but you're like, okay, I get why this wasn't on an album. Like Dogtooth for me, like I enjoy it, but I can like 100% see why he didn't put it on the album, just because it
What
feels
sticks
kind.
out to you?
For one, I think it's the beat and just like his delivery is pretty just out of character for the whole album. Maybe not out of character. It just feels a bit off from the "Call Me If You Get Lost" sound, and especially the beat. Like his delivery, I guess, is just like any other Tyler the Creator delivery. But I'm not a huge fan of the hook either. Are you like killing the bunny or something? Looked like you were
Nah.
stomping on the ground.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Are you like
That's how you have
scaring him
to.
away?
No, that's how you like if a bunny's mad, he'll stomp his feet. So like if he was chewing up something on Hunter's side of the room, so I had to stomp at him so he knows like not to do it.
Okay, I see.
I'm
That's pretty high
speaking his
IQ.
language.
Go off on Dogtooth real quick. Tell me why it's the goat song.
I don't know. It's just super catchy. It's fun to listen to when you're driving. I think that's the whole reason. Just whenever
Yeah,
I
I can
get in
see
the
that.
car, that's the first song I put on. But
Yeah.
that's why I think like I'm kind of just overhyping it because it's fresh right now. Like there's nothing that really sticks out that's super unique about that one song.
Yeah.
However, the
Uh,
next song, Heaven to Me, that one really sticks out.
yeah, that's
What were
just
you gonna say though?
oh, I was gonna say that Tyler the Creator, he has like a spam account on Instagram, and like he like posted just a bunch of pictures, and one of them was like I think it was a removed dog tooth, like, and I think that was the inspiration of the song.
What the heck?
I have literally no like context or anything. That's all I have to say about that. So let's just move on to Heaven to Me, which conveniently has a very heavenly soul sampled beat. Very, very beautiful beat. And this is the second track not produced by Tyler. It's produced by Kanye West, that's why I was saying it was kind of funny that he may have been sneak dissing him. You can't say it for sure, but it definitely felt like it to me. But then he also has Kanye West producing on the album, which is pretty funny
Yeah,
to me.
I didn't really think of it as like a sneak diss. More of like, cause they're like good friends apparently. So it's more of
Could
just
be a
like,
troll.
yeah, like just kind of trolling him, calling him out in the song, but not like he's actually mad at him. Like I know he did that to
Yeah.
Eminem, and then Eminem went off and put him in a diss track.
Oh
So
yeah, I
like,
remember that.
yeah, and Tyler was just like, it's just something I said in the song. Like it's not that serious. So I think he just says whatever comes to mind, you know.
Yeah, he might just be freestyling. That's maybe why the song was cut. Who knows? Like, what if he thought it was like eligible for a Call Me If You Get Lost, and he realized he dissed someone? He's like, okay, never mind. I'm just making
Yeah.
stuff up.
Yeah, maybe that's why he didn't put it on the album because I saw in his story that he said like that's the best beat he's ever gotten from Kanye or something like that. And I agree, like the it's a really good sample and it's a amazing Kanye beat. I think I probably would put Heaven to Me on the album, like the full album. That'd be like the one pick I'd want on there.
Really, my
I
one
don't know what
pick would
would
be Sorry Not Sorry.
Yeah, that one's close for me. That one just makes more sense on the deluxe though,
I guess that's
you
true.
know.
Yeah, Heaven to Me, it's just another good. It's kind of like a brother track to What a Day, not just because it's not produced by
Yeah.
Tyler, but like they both are very like sample heavy production. Just like they just seem similar. I don't know. I don't know how to put it in words. I guess
Yeah, I
I'm
definitely
just
agree. I thought that before. They just have a super similar like chilled, relaxed vibe, and they both are sampled
I'm just gonna
kind of
skip over
similarly.
boyfriend girlfriend because like I don't even remember what it sounds like because I haven't listened to this since it like dropped like in full. So like, do you have anything to say about it? Because I don't.
Not really. It just that's the one song I would get rid of, and then the deluxe would be perfect in my opinion. It's not a bad song. It just is very bland. I think there's not
Yeah, I
anything
agree with that.
special going on with it. And it has a feature. One of the three songs have a feature on this, and
Yeah,
it's YG, and it just
yeah,
there's nothing special
so
to it at
random,
all. Yeah.
so random. Then the last track, Sorry Not Sorry, again, like I would say it's kind of similar to What a Day and Heaven to Me. Just very sample based production, kind of a chill song. I guess that's a good way to put it. It's just chill. Not till the end though, because there's a big like climax where it's like kind of feel. It sounds like Waka Flocka almost. Like the drums kind of start like pacing up, and then Tyler's going Waka ba 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 ba, or something like that in the background
Uh huh.
vocals. And like if you watch the music video for this, it's really cool. It has like all of Tyler the Creator's different eras, just chilling together in the desert. And then like at the end of the music video, you have like this shirtless Tyler just beating the crap out of the Call Me If You Get Lost Tyler, which is like, oh, it's the end of an era. And like there's a very like climactic climax. Wow. Look at that wordplay right there. Climactic climax. But yeah. There's a really big climax. So like I feel like this would be a perfect closer for the normal album, not just the deluxe album. Like I would be okay with this being added
Yeah.
instead of like Safari or I guess past Safari. Like you could still have Safari, just add another track, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree. It definitely is a great closer. That's why I'm assuming he made this after that album because I don't see why he wouldn't put that on. It's such a great way to, especially like the music video is such a great way to announce that it's the end of an era. But
Yeah.
I rewatched it and I was thinking it could be more than the end of an era. It could be the end to like every era. Like if you think about it, all his albums have basically played a character. And in that music video, Tyler goes and he kills every single character from his like previous albums basically. And like the one that kills all of them is just a shirtless Tyler with just plain clothes, like nothing crazy with his hair, like just regular. So maybe it could be like an album from the point of view of Tyler the creator instead of from some character that's like a variation of his personality. Like we might get a super
Yeah.
personal, like focused on like himself album. Or I could just be
Yeah.
wrong and he hasn't shown us what he's gonna do yet. That's just the base character. He's gonna come out with
Yeah.
something crazy.
I always thought of like Flower Boy as like the default Tyler the Creator album for
Yeah.
some reason. Just because like I guess his fit is very plain and it's also like a personal album. So like
Yeah, me
yeah.
too. I've kind of thought that before.
So yeah, that's the deluxe The Estate Sale by Tyler the Creator. I would say it's like a 7.5 out of 10. It's just like it's a good experience, but it's nothing too crazy. It's
Mhm.
getting me more hype for Tyler's next album.
Yeah, it definitely is getting me more hype. I'd give it like a 9, 9 out of 10. If
Dang,
it didn't have boyfriend girlfriend, bro, it might be a 10. Like every
dang.
single song is amazing.
It's just weird to like think of this, I guess, like an album just because it's not an album. So like when it
Yeah,
comes
it
to like
is.
end of year lists, like I don't know if we're like allowed to keep it
True.
on there. But
Dang.
like at the end of the day, like it's our page, so like who cares? But also I don't want annoying fanboys being like, actually it's a deluxe, not an actual album. But
Yeah.
if Tyler drops a good album this year, I feel like there's no reason to, I guess, include the estate sale. But who knows? If it
Yeah.
keeps growing on you, then like I won't stop you from putting it on your list.
Yeah. I don't know. One thing I notice about this album, and it's more about like the actual album, not the deluxe. I just realized after the deluxe came out. But you know how
Hmm.
people would say that Flower Boy is like it like symbolizes a drive, like driving in your car, like the whole
Yeah,
album. Basically, Call Me If You Get Lost is like a boat ride, like going out on vacation somewhere, you know? That's what it
yeah, because
reminds me of.
remember what DJ Drum said? We're on a boat and we got our toes out too.
Oh yeah.
French vanilla ice cream or something like that. I have no idea. All I know is DJ Drama just would like spam random lines. You know,
Yeah.
DJ Drama, I feel like forever will be associated with Call Me If You Get Lost. But like, if you remember JID, he dropped DiCaprio 2 in like 2018, 2019, somewhere in
Yeah.
that time. And it had DJ Drama hosting it. So like JID,
Oh
like
really?
he paved the way for a Tyler the Creator. Yeah, that's why I recognized like the guy's voice. I'm like, who is this? DJ Drama. Oh, then I like did my research and then I remember the guy always said DiCaprio too, and like he would just spam that on
Yeah.
DiCaprio too. So
I forgot
I
about
haven't
that.
listened. Yeah, I forgot about that album too. It's a very. I feel like the Forever Story just made like the rest of his discography feel irrelevant, just because it
Yeah.
felt like it felt like a debut album, I guess, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But I guess we'll just move on to our next album. This is an album that I've been extremely hyped for. I've been anticipating for probably over a year now, and it lived up to the hype for me at least. And that's "Scaring the Hose" by jpegmafia and Danny Brown. This album was like, it was always teased. Like everyone like thought it was a possibility, and like then they like said, "Yeah, this is happening." But like you know when music artists say that this is happening, you don't know what's really happening until they like actually announce it. And even if they
Yeah.
actually announce it, there's still that chance that they're not going to drop it, like with Kanye and Cardi, where they'll literally do an entire rollout and then not drop the album. But with
Yeah.
this, once you got the announcement, like you're pretty sure it's dropping, and it dropped, and it lived up to the hype for me. This is just my interesting context slash fun fact of the day is one of our first posts ever on our Instagram was dream collabs between artists, and one of the ones we had was Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia for a collab album. So we literally predicted this one. We like spawned it into existence.
Like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was like in
Yeah.
2019, I think, maybe early 2020. So like 3 years ago, actually.
So we really should be credited, to be honest, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
I
We'll let
know,
him pass.
for real, man. But
I
I
really
have
like
no.
this album too.
Okay, okay. I was scared that you wouldn't because like for all of these albums, like you've been relatively quiet. Like I feel like I'm a pretty
Yeah.
vocal person. I'm usually the one posting on the Instagram. I'm the one making those like stupid weekly reviews that no one reads. So like my opinion's out there. But Connor, he's kind of a mystery man. You don't really know what he thinks until he pops on this podcast and speaks his mind. So like I was
Yeah.
scared that he was gonna be like, yeah, scaring the hose would be better if it was mixed better. 7 out of 10 or something like that, which might actually be his opinion because I still haven't heard it. But yes, you go off on it for a little bit. I need to pull something up.
Um, for me, there's a little too many songs to get into it easy, but I've been listening to it a ton, and every time I listen to it, I notice new things about the album. That's kind of what happens with JPEG Mafia albums. So it's definitely growing on me. There's a bunch of songs I already really like from this album, and there isn't really any skips. It's a good listen all throughout, like pretty much every JPEG Mafia album. And one
Yeah,
thing I was thinking, it kind of seems like it's Danny Brown on a JPEG Mafia album. Like not entirely like that, but it's more carried by JPEG Mafia, I think. Do you agree?
I wouldn't say it's. I mean, it's kind of hard to put because I think Danny Brown does great on every single song. I think he has great
Yeah.
verses, very funny verses too. But like, I agree with you. This is a JPEG Mafia album first, with like Danny Brown features on every song, which like it's not an ideal thing for like a collab album. I think a perfect collab album is like Kids See Ghosts, where it just feels like a 50-50 split between the two artists, I guess. Where like
Yep.
Con- Kanye's like rapping wasn't perfect. I mean, it was good on Kids See Ghosts, but like his production was top tier, and his production was perfect for Kid Cudi. It was literally like just a match made in heaven. I feel like for Kids See Ghosts, whereas this like I love JPEG Mafia's production for Danny Brown, but like it still feels like I guess a tiny bit off, and that makes it seem like I hate this album because that's untrue. This is my favorite album of the year so far. So I guess we'll just get into the track list right away, and it starts out with Lean Beef Patty. Oh yeah, by the way, all the track names are just completely random and stupid.
Yeah.
Like you have just a song called Run the Jewels, which is just another rap group. You have a song called Jack Harlow Combo Meal, and just like yeah, the production
Fentanyl
on this like
tester.
yeah, the production on this like this entire album is so unique. There's really nothing that sounds like that. And that's saying something for JPEG Mafia because he's done that like 3, 4 times at this point where he's produced a new album that sounds nothing like anything else.
Yeah. Didn't he produce this whole thing on some primitive technology device?
Yeah, he produced it on a like a SP404, which is like a sampling device that like Jay Dilla and like Madlib use. So
Oh.
like when you listen to like Jay Dilla and Madlib, you have like these like crackly samples that just like old school hip hop, and then you listen to this and this sounds like some like super futuristic hyper pop. I don't want to call it hyper pop, but I mean like hyper uh what's the word I'm looking for? Hyperactive music. It's
Yeah.
just super energetic. There's no like chillness to this album. It's just always just 100 miles per hour, and it just starts off like that lean beef patty. You have this super pitched up like R&B sample. It's like it sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks, and then just like these horns come in and the beat drops, and it's just crazy production.
Yeah, Lean Beef Patty is one of my favorite songs from this album. I definitely
Yeah,
like the production, and there's a couple feature or samples on this album I didn't like, but Lean Beef Patty grew on me. I didn't like the pop sample or whatever at first, but now I like it. It fits pretty well.
yeah. And then Step a Pig is like it's kind of a continuation from Lean Beef Patty, where it's kind of like this like weird R&B sample with like this futuristic production, which is not it kind of like applies to the whole album, but like there's like these weird synths, I guess, on this track where there's not going to be like weird synths on every track. Where I feel like that was like a common thing for JPEG Mafia in the past, whereas you'd always have like very like cloud rappy, I guess, or very synthy production, very smooth
Yeah.
sounding production. But on this, he really like steps into like his abrasive side on this album, which is something that I guess really works for Danny Brown too. Where yeah, Step a Pig, like I was saying, synthy production, I guess.
Yeah, this album, like you said, it's like a continuation of Lean Beef Patty. I liked it, but it didn't stick out like a whole lot.
Yeah, it's honestly one of my favorite tracks. The last time I listened to it, I was like, "Dang, I'm sleeping on this." But that's like something that happened for every single track on this album, where it's just like I feel like I kind of was sleeping on it at some point in time. Next track is
Yeah.
scaring the hose, off of scaring the hose, and this track starts out with like a clapping sample, and it sounds like they're like wet claps, like meaty claps. It's like it sounds pretty gross, and then like the saxophone comes on, and it's like, and then just the freaking like drums come in, and it's like it's like experimental jazz rap, and like that's like a theme that they go through like in a couple other tracks, like these like weird jazz samples with like these weird drums and weird claps, and like it's perfect abstract production for like JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown. What can I say? How many times am I
Yeah.
gonna say that?
Here's what I was thinking is like I I also haven't listened to a whole lot of Danny Brown's solo work, so this might not be a fair comparison. But I think
Hmm.
the fact that it's more led by JPEG Mafia is actually a good thing for this album because you get like this type of production the whole way through. Like if you were to have like some random like regular Danny Brown, like regular type of hip hop beats like thrown in the middle, those songs would probably stand out and not sound as good. Whereas JPEG Mafia, like him producing, he'll still make the songs that stand out really good, like Scaring the House. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I kind of know what you mean, but like I said, I mean, like you said, I think you just don't know much about Danny Brown's music because he definitely has like
Yep.
really weird production choices too, like especially on like Atrocity Exhibition, and then like he even like brings out the weird side of producers, I guess, because like on You Know What I'm Saying, which was his most recent album before this, uh,
Uh huh.
it's executively produced by Q-Tip of A Tribe Called Quest, but like
Oh.
some of the beats are so weird, like just like they kind of sound like a song off this, I guess.
Do you know like if you think back to when we used to first not when we used to first listen to music, but like a couple years ago when we first started this account, like Danny
Mm-hmm.
Brown is like the split where we started listening to different music because like
Yeah,
all the albums that I would listen to, you would listen to, and all the albums you'd listen to, I would listen to, and like our music tastes were super in line. And then you started to get into Atrocity Exhibition, and then it just you went off the rails from that point. You started listening to all this freaking indie rock and stuff. You got this music girlfriend that makes you listen to some pretty gay albums, to be honest. But it's okay.
yeah, bro.
Got you
You
listening to
like,
Ways Blood.
bro? Why's blood is fire? What are you talking about? But
No, it is fire. I'm just teasing you.
yeah, Atrocity Exhibition. Yeah, that we should do a podcast on that album one day because like you're sleeping on it, but that's a different discussion. Back to this album, yeah, I agree that that was kind of a one of the albums that I guess was the split for us. I would also say Kid A by Radiohead was another album that like kind of it paved two different paths for us. But dang, I was gonna say something about this album, but I forgot. Um, I would say like a distinct feature about this album is like definitely the mixing, which is like something that a lot of people are hating on it for. The mixing is not I guess orthodox. It's very different. It's kind of hard to hear what they're saying at times, which it also depends on what you're listening to it on. Like if you're listening to it in like crappy car speakers, it's really hard to hear what they're saying. But if you're listening to it on some nice headphones, you hear everything they're saying. But it also brings
Yeah.
up another thing is like I feel like this is an album specifically designed to listen to at full volume. Like you're supposed to have your volume all the way up and just jam out to this and just experience every little intricate detail of the beats because there's just so much going on. And not even the fact that they're like kind of weird rappers, but like just with the beats there's just like so many different little aspects and just so many weird little different sampling moments. I forget what song it's on, but it just starts like it just turns into like a freaking like club remix of My Milkshake Brings All the Boys to the
Oh
Yard. It just
yeah.
like it literally just
So random.
transforms into that. It's just like there's so many just different moments. You just always have to like keep your ears open for this album,
Yeah.
and I think yeah, it's just it's awesome. Kingdom Hearts Key was one of my favorite songs with Breadville, which was like a rapper that I feel like we found before they kind of got pretty popular, and that sounds like one of the more normal songs on the album. It has like this pretty like just a pretty sample, I guess, and it feels like it's something off of like LP, where it's just kind of a more conventional style of production, and it's just nice sounding.
Yeah, it's definitely more conventional, that song. It's one of my favorites too. I like how
Yeah,
it's the only feature on here too. They didn't have like a bunch of people come on, but Redville does a good job of not like the first few listens I didn't even notice that like I didn't pick up on which song he was featured on, which I think is a good thing. He fits really well with the other two people.
yeah. Like Orange Juice Jones, which is the track before that. It sounds like it's almost like an Earl Sweatshirt type beat, or like just like that style of production, like the drumless style of production, where it's just like a sample, like not
Yep.
much drums. I like that song. And then if you go a couple tracks back, you got Perfect, which is probably
Yeah.
one of my favorite songs. That's another, I guess, more conventional track where it's just kind of like these like horns, like these like freaking like football horns. Like if you ever watch like Sunday Night Football, it sounds like the theme to Sunday Night Football with a trap like instrumental over it. And it's just a complete banger. Every single moment of it. Like the bridge between Danny Brown's verse and JPEG Mafia's verse gets me hype every single time. Just a complete banger. One of my favorite tracks for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that is my number one favorite from this album. The I
Yeah.
totally agree with the NFL like theme to it. It definitely it's just as super like it just gets you hype. It sounds like the start of like a football game basically.
Yeah. Or
It's the
like
best way to put it.
gladiator music.
Yeah.
Then And then I'm just kind of skipping around the track list. I don't feel like going track by track just because I didn't like listen to this like the day before so I could be refreshed. I'm just going off my
Yeah.
memory. Like we were saying, there's that like song called Run the Jewels. It's just like a little interlude that kind of leads into Jack Harlow combo meal. Such a stupid track name. But Run the Jewels, it's kind of like this again, just like this weird take on jazz rap. And so is Jack Harlow combo meal, where it's just like when you think of jazz rap, you think of just like this smooth production, like this smooth, nice production. It like takes that and then adds just like all this chaotic craziness to the mix. And Jack Harlow Combo Meal is no exception to that. And it also just has like this point where Peggy just comes in on like auto tune, like All My Heroes Are Cornball style. Like he was mostly just kind of like rapping the entire album, and then he finally starts singing on Jack Harlow Combo Meal, which was kind of a funny moment because it's on like a jazz rap instrumental, which is just so random. But
Yeah.
there's a Danny Brown has a lot of funny bars on this album, but I think Jack Harlow Combo Meal has my favorite bar. He was like, "I can't trust you guys. You let Jack Harlow sell you chicken." And then like that's like his last like bar of the song. Like,
I didn't pick up on that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, most of his like funny bars are just like really gross, really just like how did he even think of that? And if you ever listen to his podcast, because that's like what he does nowadays is his podcast, that is just the same energy he has in his podcast. Like he just comes up with the weirdest sayings I've ever heard and just like knows how to explain it in just like the most like a way that makes so much sense, but in just such a grotesque way. And I think
Yeah.
that's why he's such a good rapper, is because he knows how to be unique with how he describes things, which is a good aspect for a rapper.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What would you rate this album overall?
I gave this like a light to mid 9 for me. Like it was just like everything in the universe lined up almost perfectly for this album. I would say I have some like gripes with it, but they're just very, very little. Like it's just like, yeah, sometimes you can't really hear what Danny Brown's saying. Like, okay. Or just like I guess kind of the flow of the record's kind of all over the place, but that's almost the point. So yeah, I would say it's just like a low 9 for me.
Yeah. It's easily an 8 for me. I think there's a lot of room for improvement on that rating, so you guys will have to see on our I'm sure it'll make our half year list. So
Yeah.
you'll have to see the
And
full rating then.
I'm sure our half year list will have some better like explanations and review and critique, because like
Yeah.
if you couldn't tell already, we kind of just went into this podcast without like taking any notes or just thinking about the albums whatsoever. We just listened to the albums. So this is a very, I guess, organic discussion. It's not really a very
Super
thought out
structured.
discussion. Yeah, super
Yeah.
structured. That's a good way of putting it. Because Connor woke up like 20 minutes before this
Yeah.
podcast. I've had a busy
Yeah.
week. I hate to be like making excuses for why our podcast sucks, but it's fine. Next album, we got one of the most like another very anticipated album for me, which is 10,000 Gecs by 100 Gecs, which like 1,000 Gecs when it first came out was just like one of the most like groundbreaking albums ever. Like I know that sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, but it really was. Like it just sounded like nothing. And it just like I think it was an album that it kind of made a divide whether you can get into weirdness or not get into weirdness, you know? Like it was
Yeah.
radically weird, radically different. It took so many big risks. I'm not going to say it like invented hyperpop or whatever because it didn't, but I'll just say this. There was a lot more hyperpop albums after it came out. Like there was just an insane amount of clones of 100 Gecs after 1000 Gecs. It was definitely one of the
Yeah.
more influential. I would say it's one of the more influential albums like ever. And that it's not even a perfect album. It's like an 8 out of 10 for me. But like there's no denying the impact it had. So like if you're 100 Gecs, how the hell are you supposed to follow that up? You know, like they're kind of in like
Yeah.
an impossible conundrum. They dropped one of the most influential albums, one of the most divisive albums ever. Like, what are they supposed to do? And I think they handled it. I'm not going to say perfectly because if they handled it perfectly, it would be a 10 out of 10 album, but they handled it very well. I think they could have just made 1,000 Gecs Part 2 and that would have just been like really bad, I think, because like I said,
Yeah.
there's so many clones of 1,000 Gecs, like the sound it had, that like if you're just gonna make a part two to that, like it's not gonna feel like as fresh or groundbreaking as it did at the time. So they definitely started experimenting again, not to the level of 1,000 Gecs, but definitely they experimented in a different way almost. What were your thoughts on 10,000 Gecs?
It's it's not horrible. There's just it's like something's missing from their first album 1000 Gex. It's kind of hard
Mm-hmm.
to explain these two cuz their names are all so similar. But
Yeah.
like I agree. I'm glad they like experimented instead of trying to make 1000 Gex part 2 cuz that would have it wouldn't have been good at all, but there's just something like missing with this album. I don't know exactly what it is for me, but it's not bad. It feels like they could have done a lot more. I think it's just experimentation probably because 1000 Gex was just so random. Like every sound effect, every second would be a different sound effect. I mean, and
Mhm.
this one it's a lot more predictable. They took like a more like rock approach to the production, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, they took, like, I guess, like, a kinda, like, post-punk not post-punk, like, pop-punk, I guess, uh, style of the production, kinda like that or that mid-2000s kinda cheesy sound. They, like, definitely
Yeah.
played off that. But something about this album that I think is different from 1,000 Gecs is, like, I feel like 1,000 Gecs, the entire album was just, like, all these, like, hyper hyperactive instrumentals, you know, just, like, craziness the entire way through. It was actually pretty cohesive, I would say. Whereas this album
Yeah.
is like when it experiments, I'm saying like there's like a 90s hip hop beat on the song, there's a metal song, and there's like a freaking They Might Be Giants style corny geek rock song. Like there's everything on this album, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because I still think it all somehow fits under this like 100 Gex umbrella, but like it's definitely not as cohesive as I would want it to be. But like it's
Yeah.
still just an interesting listen just because of how many different styles they try to like geckify, if that's a term that I'm just gonna throw out there. Like I think it's the most wanted person in the United States, I'm pretty sure. Like that's just like it sounds like a Beastie Boys instrumental and then they just threw goofy sound effects on top of it and just like it just didn't work for me whatsoever, honestly. It just felt stupid. And I know that's
Yeah.
like the whole point. That's the whole point of a 100 Gex is it's stupid, but like it wasn't stupid in like the super fun way. It was stupid in like, yeah, you added funny sound effects. Okay, I don't know. But like other than that track, and also I got my tooth removed is a pretty goofy, geeky track. Something about this album is I would say the first like half is definitely better than the second half.
Yeah, I agree with that too, actually.
Like Dumbest Girl Alive, when that was the first song of the album. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, this album might be a 10 just based off that song. Just cuz like
Dang.
it's a complete banger. It's probably definitely my favorite track on the album. It starts with just like this normal kind of guitar riff, and then the beat drops, and then you get those like hyper pop 808s. Sounds like Sicko Mode for some reason. I saw a remix actually of someone using Dumbest Girl Alive and Sicko Mode just like back and forth because like their 808s are so similar. Like you can like
The heck?
transition like in between one another. And then 757 is like just a classic uh thousand Gecs style song, I guess. And then like the outro, they use like that Star Wars sound effect. Whenever they just use cool sound effects, it just tickles my brain the right way. Like whenever Blade uses
Yeah.
that like laser gun sound effect on Ice Dancer, like I think it's from like GoldenEye '07. I just love stupid stuff like that. So 757, it's a banger. Hollywood Baby, it's less of a crazy song. It's just kind of a normal, just freaking like pop punk banger. But then I feel like after that song, that's where the album kind of falls off for me. But it's not saying that it's like bad. It just becomes inconsistent at that point. Because Frog on
You
the
don't like
Floor is,
Frog on the Floor, bro?
I don't think I do. Do you?
I I liked it on the first listen. Definitely threw me off guard, and it was pretty funny. I like how the beat is just
Yeah.
ribbits over and over again. But I
Yeah.
think as this album ages, I'm definitely not gonna like it. It's gonna stick out a lot.
I mean, I don't dislike it. Like, it's just like a song. It's a song that I respect within the context of the album, but like I would never listen to it outside of the album. That's how I'd put it.
Yeah, me too.
So like
Definitely.
I'm not gonna say it's a bad song by any means because I think it works when you listen to it. And then Doritos and Fritos, it's a pretty, I guess, funny song. Billy Knows Jamie, that's like the like heavy metal song, just absolute craziness. And then
Yeah.
$1 million is like it's akin to like that one interlude on a thousand gex. I forget what it's called, where it's just kind of weird sound effects and just a weird voice. But this one's I guess a bit more cohesive. It's like kind of a DJ thing. I don't even know. Then Most Wanted Person in the United States, pretty lame. I already talked about that. Did you like that song, or do you even remember it?
Um, I kind of remember it. It didn't stick out a whole lot to me. It just kind of the end kind of just blends together.
Yeah. And then I Got My Tooth Removed, which I think it's an all right track. It's again I respect it with the context of the album, but I'd never bump it on my own time. And then Me 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 is kind of a lame closer in my opinion. I know I just kind of rushed through the track list, but like I don't know. We're kind of running out of time, and I don't have much to say about this. It's
All right.
good, but like it's good, but like it's not my favorite. I would say it's like a 7 out of 10. It's like a nice little follow up, but like it definitely lacks some cohesion that I wish it would have.
Yeah, it just is like empty feeling. Like I don't know
Yeah,
what it is. There's just something missing about it. It doesn't have the same
it
feel as their first album.
yeah, it's just not as like electric. I guess it's just like it's like a thousand gex is like you met them for the first time at this crazy party, right? You're at this crazy
Yeah.
party, and then 10,000 gex is like the day after, where they're just like you're just normal together, and you're like at like IHOP or something. Like they're still pretty crazy and weird, but like you're not at a party.
Yeah. I think I just
That's
figured
this
out what it is, bro.
what?
You know how you're saying there's so many albums that copied what A Thousand Gex was?
Yeah.
This is like kind of similar to that. Like A Thousand Gex was they had no expectation. It's just purely experimental, whatever they thought was good. And then
Hmm.
this one, it's like they're trying to make an album after having that reputation that the first one got them, and I think that just screwed them up because
Yeah.
it sounds like they're trying to emulate the first sound instead of just continuing with whatever they were doing on the first one, experimental wise.
Yeah, you're like saying they're trying too hard to be different again.
Yeah, they're like I like trying to too hard to be different, but in the way that they were different in the first one, if that makes any sense. and that leads
Yeah.
them to just sound repetitive because, that just sound repetitive because that that started a big like sound in hyperpop, I guess. And now this album just fits into it instead of evolving anything.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree with that, but I also don't really care because I want to talk about this next album because I can't believe
Okay.
how much time we spent talking about the estate sale, bro. We probably spent like 20 minutes on that album,
Yeah, we did. It's worth it
but
though, bro. That's proof
yeah,
to you
it's
that
fine.
it's the best one.
Nah, it's because I have no pacing skills because we haven't done a style like, an episode in this style in a while. Bro, that's a bar. We haven't done an episode in this style in a while.
LSC Part 2.
Yeah, quick disclaimer, we're definitely not going to be talking about the Lana Del Rey album. So I
Yeah.
apologize for that. I really do. But our next, or I guess our final album, is Ugly by slowthai, which is the first album to ever endorse Music Elegancy by LNC because I bought a signed copy of Ugly by slowthai. And slowthai, I forced him actually to sign the vinyl and make it say, I, I approve Music Elegancy, and then his
Yep.
signature. So
You should have brought it with you so you could show it right now.
I was actually thinking about it, but like traveling with a vinyl when you don't have a car is like hard.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, that's nevertheless Ugly is kind of in that genre of albums where it's like a rapper just decides to drop an album in a different genre, like Lil Yachty with Let's Start Here, or Tyler the Creator, Igor. All those albums, which is always a big risk because you never want to show up. I mean, you never want to be like MGK, or you never want to be like Logic with
Yeah.
Supermarket. Like you never want to go down in history as like this is why rappers should stick to rap. And Slow Tie, luckily for him, he already had experience with like non-rap songs. Like on his debut album, he had a song like that was very similar to this style that he does in Ugly, like this post-punk style. So I feel like that experience helps him. And he also collabed with the Gorillas. I don't know, I called him the Gorillas. He also collabed with Gorillas in like 2020, I think. So like he has experience in a non-rap setting, which I think really helps him.
Yeah, it's definitely
And
not a rap album.
yeah, it's a very angsty, angry, sad, oftentimes very bittersweet album, which I like a lot. I think it's kind of it walks a fine line of being like emotionally poignant. I don't know how to say that word. And being a bit corny. I think it definitely crosses the line of being a bit corny at times, but like the
Yeah.
music sounds so good to me where I can excuse some of the corniness, some of the fake deep bars it gets just because it sounds good to me. And I think there is actually a lot of good emotional peaks on this album where it kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, I agree. There are some corny bars, but I think it's worth it like a lot of these songs actually have an idea and like a meaning towards it, which you got to
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah, like the first track, like is so there's so many just like radically, I guess, different songs like throughout the album. There's not really, I mean, there is like a sound throughout the album, but like it experiments with a lot of different styles. Like
Yeah.
a way I would describe this album is it's just like extremely British. And hear me out. One, because he has a very heavy British accent when he raps and sings. Like there's no ignoring the elephant in the room. He's British. And then
Yeah.
also I would say like almost every single style on this album that he explores is like maybe except for track 1, it's kind of like exploration of like old like British like styles that were like popular in like the 90s and 2000s and 80s, whether that be like post-punk, which like you have like The Cure and a bunch of different bands like exploring post-punk, or you have like shoegaze, Ugly and Falling are like shoegaze, which is like My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive, and then you also have more, I guess, like art rock, where it's like Pink. It doesn't really sound like Pink Floyd, but like Radiohead and Pink Floyd. That's just the genre it's called. I'm not saying it sounds like them. So like
Yep.
he definitely explores like all these different styles of British music, where he's also very personal and just completely transparent with his psyche throughout this album.
Yeah. That definitely comes through. Like you can tell he really tries with his music. Like he's
Yeah,
not just putting out. putting out just trash songs. But
Yeah,
I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. It's good, but it doesn't. I think I'm just not a huge fan of Slow Tie, to be honest.
yeah,
Just like
yeah. This
his
album,
style isn't super great to me, but it's not bad. I get the appeal of it.
yeah. The first song sounds like straight out of Yeezus for me. Like Yum, it's called. It's very just like overly vulgar, overly I don't want to say overly produced, but it's very chaotic, you know? And
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
definitely
like kind of a
chaotic.
Yeezus style. It definitely sets the tone for like how this album is going to be very, I guess, dark and angsty. But like I said, there's also moments of just kind of bittersweetness. Like the song Never Again might be the saddest song of the year, but it also just kind of feels it's like like I said, bittersweet. Basically, it's like a storytelling track about uh basically he sees like his ex-girlfriend's parents at like a store and starts kind of reminiscing on his relationship he had where he basically left her so he could pursue music and trace his dreams. And then he learns that like his ex-girlfriend like has kids and stuff, so he's like, he's like, dang, that's kind of like a closed road. Like I could have like I could have been the one for her, but I decided to chase my dream. So he's just kind of thinking about that. He like connects with her and like talks to her a little bit, and then like at the end of the track he's like at a barber shop or something, and like it's kind of like an Eminem storytelling track almost, or
It is
basically
actually.
he learns that her like new like boyfriend basically killed her and then killed himself, and like it's like sad, it's just like it's
And then
executed so
it's
well.
like
Like
sad.
I can't do it justice on a freaking podcast at Boise State University. It's a very like emotionally poignant song, just like, and the beat, it just matches the mood of what you would probably feel like perfectly. It just has like kind of this climax to the end where you're just like, dang, what if he
Yeah.
didn't chase it? What if I didn't chase my dreams? So that's why it's called Never Again. He's like saying, I'm never gonna like chase material wealth over like an organic relationship, because like I could I don't want I believe I'm not gonna be the one that would like lead them to their death, I guess, which is kind of like egotistical. Speaking of Eminem, the next track after this, F It Puppet, is very Eminem esque. It's just like he like plays around with his voice and like is like talking to himself. It's just like this banger hip hop track. It's one of the few rap songs on this entire album. So is Never Again. Those are like the only two rap songs, and they're both kind of Eminem esque, like peak Eminem, which is like nice to see. Like, no, you don't really see people like Eminem imitating the good sides of Eminem.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you got Happy and Ugly, which both have like this. I don't want to say the same hook, but they have very similar hooks. You have Happy, Happy, and then you have Ugly. So he's basically just spelling out the titles. I don't know what Happy stands for, but Ugly stands for You Gotta Love Yourself. So,
Oh, that's
but those are
crazy.
both, yeah, those are both some post punk. I mean, yeah, I guess post punk bangers. Fallen, like I said, definitely has like that shoegaze influence. It almost sounds like a slow dive song, just but without like angelic vocals. It's like you just give a random British dude the mic for a slow dive song, bro. Slow dive, slow tie. It literally writes itself. They sound
Bro,
so
the
similar.
first time you sent me this album after it dropped, I thought it was Slow Dive, and I was like, "Oh, they actually made an album I like." And then I realized it was
Yeah,
Slow Tie, and I was like, "Oh, I remember this guy. I forgot he even
yeah.
existed at first."
Yep, and then I don't remember what's funny sounds like. I'm actually mad because I was listening to this album before this podcast started, and like I stopped around Happy in the track list, and like I was mad because like it interrupted my flow of listening to the album. So
Yeah.
like now I'm hyped to finish it afterwards. But yeah, I would say this album's awesome. It starts off with like some angsty like experimental hip hop, and then it goes to like this like angsty post punk song, Selfish, and then Sooner and Feel Good are both like very artificially like happy sounding, which I think is kind of like a cool little idea where it almost sounds like super corporate, but like it's supposed to sound super corporate because it's like fake happy. He's basically just trying to fill the void with fakeness, with like
Yeah.
material things. So that's kind of it kind of hurts it a little bit because it still sounds corporate, but like he's using it kind of in a smart way. He's like, I'm making the sound kind of corporately happy because I'm not actually happy. I'm only like temporarily happy, I guess. And then yeah, it ends with like a very the end of the album is very climactically climaxed
What the heck?
with Tourniquet with Tourniquet, where it's just like it's the emotional peak of the album for sure. Where Slow Tie, he just quits singing. He's just yelling at this point. He's like, "Give me a tourniquet," and he's just pissed off. And then 25% Club is just kind of this sing-songy ballad, which reminds me of like Jonathan Lehndeuer, just because he's so off key with his singing. But like that's the whole point of like Jonathan Lehndeuer is he's bad at singing, so it sounds raw and emotional.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Ugly by Slow Tie. I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's one of my favorite of the year.
I'd give it like around a 7. It
Yeah,
might
I
it
knew
might be
that.
higher, but
I kind of knew that you wouldn't be a big fan of this album just because like I have no reason honestly. Do you?
you
It's just
just
because
could
like
tell.
yeah, I have like this like sixth sense where I can just tell if someone can like an album or not, and like this didn't trigger that sense for me, and neither did
Yeah.
Scaring the Hose. So that's why I was scared that like you wouldn't like Scaring the Hose because like I couldn't sense that like oh this would be a Connor. I mean an album that Connor would mess with.
Yeah, it almost was. I almost didn't like it, but I knew I would. I just had to give it more time, and I just kept playing it all day long for like a week or two, and then
Just force
eventually I
yourself to
liked
like
it.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that's it. That's the podcast. Sorry we couldn't talk about Lana Del Rey. Sorry that we're regressing in quality a little bit, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's April. No one likes April. April is just such a mid month. People who
Such a
like
mid
April are
month.
a lie. Yeah, it's just mid. So thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.
See ya.